Hello, everybody. Welcome again to Can We Talk About It, where we talk about that elephant in the room. Um, as you guys know, today is 9/11. There was a lot of people who passed on this day. I just want to say condolences to all of the families, the people that's still mourning, the firefighters that went through this and probably went through things with their family, the families of the firefighters, police, and such. So I just want to give my condolences. I also want to give a shout out to my niece Claudette Brookins and my husband, who was always the love of my life and the beat in my heart, Charles Stinson. Hey, sweetie, how you doing? So today I started another program. It's a text class that I go to. I go 3 days a week, and I ended up leaving all of my material at home for the show, so bear with me. I'm going to wing this one for today. But my subject, which I'm about to go into, is, you know, pastors, ministers, leaders that wear their feelings on their sleeves, which I feel that is just, if you call yourself a man of God and you say that. The Lord fights your battle, and the Lord also tells you when all you can do to stand is stand. I think it's so terrible, and me myself, I don't count these type of people as godly people. People that when they get in the pulpit, they're so busy telling the congregation and people that really should know their business things that's going on in their lives, and you're not getting your spiritual food because somebody is wearing their feelings on their sleeves. Someone don't know how to keep their mouth shut and leave it up to the Lord. I have a real pet peeve for pastors, ministers, men of God, or so-called men of God who curse people from the pulpit. I think that's really a really bad thing. I've heard a pastor curse somebody from the pulpit talking about they hope that their children and their grandchildren die, which I really feel like that's antichrist if you ask me. I think that's a very immature Christian uh, manner to have. I feel like, people who talk like this and they're in hierarchy or authority over folks, I believe just like Pharaoh, when Pharaoh had said that all the firstborn will die, I believe that you put a curse on your own house when you speak on people, such as even your enemies. You can even speak ill of them because the Lord says to bless your enemies and pray for those who despitefully use you. So I think people that's in spiritual hierarchy or claim to be children of the Most High, for these people to get into a congregation of people and wish bad things and death on other people, I don't believe that you should be in the pulpit, for one. I also feel that what you put on others will come back to you. I believe there's a lot of so-called spiritual advisors or spiritual leaders who sit up and use this scripture, touch my not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. I want you to know that just because you're preaching from the pulpit, that don't mean you are an anointed or a prophet. I believe there are some people that you curse that are anointed and are prophets, and your day will come, and you should not be doing that to folks. We're living in a world right now where uh, government, as far as not only preachers, I'm gonna bring government in here. The president, um, government, governors, mayors. You are supposed to be servants to the people, but you act like you're kings and queens, and people owe you something. You don't owe the people don't owe you anything. They the ones who voted you in. You, if anything, you owe them. You owe them to handle yourself in a mature manner. You owe them to do what's right and what's just for the people. You don't owe it to yourself. I'm the one. I'm the one. I'm the one that's supposed to get all the gifts because I'm in leadership. Whenever I come into the pulpit, bow down to me. I wish I would bow down to any man that says he's a man of God, and then you turn around and in the pulpit and tell somebody that I'm the one, or you're sitting in front of folks. You're in the pulpit cursing. You're in the pulpit carrying on. Now, I've talked to a pastor before and was trying to admonish this pastor about letting his feelings get the best of him, because sometimes your mouth can put out what your butt can't cash. And then there are some things that you wish that you hadn't said, but because you're so ornery and indignant, you feel like it's your right to say certain things. As a Christian, and I'm just gonna say, as a mature-minded person, period. You supposed to think before you speak. And the scriptures say that we are supposed to be slow to speak and slow to wrath. Because grievous words stir up anger. And how can you expect the people to be for you when you're constantly bringing grievous words to them? There's a lot of uh, uh, deacons, pastors, trustees, governors, mayors, whoever you want to call it. They look at their position as a kingdom position, and you are not kings. Especially, like I said, the people that are pastors, deacons, the elders of the church, people that watch over you. You are servants. You are servants serving God, taking care of God's flock, God's money, God's people, God's hearts. These are the people you are. But it seems like the more you get into your position, the more powerful you feel you are, and you forget what manner of person that you are. And that's a shame that you have to be that way. And when I look back over my life being in churches where, when I very first started my show, I was letting you know about a church that I was in, Pentecostal House of God. And I was 19 years old, had just got married, and I had an affair in the church. And my heart was so convicted and I felt so bad. I was still a child, but spiritually I believe that I was more mature than a lot of people that was in hierarchy in the church that I had attended. So my heart was convicted, and I went to the hierarchies in the church, and I told them, I feel so bad. I had an affair in the church. I was with so and so, whatever, blah blah blah. They ended up putting me out of the church, even after the church told me I can stay, because after you go to your high after you go to a man of God in the church, and this was the protocol for back in that day. I don't know if this is still the protocol. It shouldn't be a protocol at all, because people shouldn't have to be stood in front of a church to be ridiculed for what they did, when you can just go to your shepherd and let them know, and deal with it on that basis. But back when I was in church, they would stand you before the church and let the whole church know your business, which that's degrading within itself. And uh more about 60% of the church wanted me to stay. So what they did was they walked me to the pastor's office and told me I couldn't seek the Lord there. So they basically told me to get out of the church. Mind you, that's all I ever knew was the church back in that day. A year later, I mustered up the strength to go back to this church. And they have altar call. You walk down to the altar, to the front of the sanctuary, and you say that you coming on Christian, knowledge or whatever. And that's what I did. So what they did was, they escorted me right out the back door and told me it would be best if I sought the Lord somewhere else. Now, I said that to say this. There's a lot of you men of God out here tearing down a lot of God's people, because you feel like you're the only person that God can entrust something to. The Bible says that a good man will fall 7 times. And it's a shame the way a lot of you pastors take it upon yourself to speak for a lot of people that you in your heart don't want to counsel. You feel like you're better than everybody else. Shame on you if you don't get your life together, you're going to hell. I feel like I have enough um, experience in this area, speaking not only as a Christian with Christian experience, but dealing with hierarchy in the church, the things that you preach and the things that come across that pulpit that a lot of you people preach nowadays is just straight up antichrist. You, like I said, you wear your feelings on your sleeve. You talk about what the people of God should be doing, how the people of God shouldn't be prosecuting God, the anointed, the prophets, and you're right, they shouldn't be. But whoever said you were one, because I feel like any so-called person that says that they're a man or woman of God, they get in front of a congregation of people, and I'm not even gonna say a congregation, not even the fellowship of Christ. There's people that come there on a regular basis, or there's people that may come and visit the church, and they see how immature you are, and they don't want to be bothered with the church. Now I've heard people say, well, I've had people, excuse me, I've had people go on Facebook and talk about me and downgrade me. And then I've had people say that they wanted to come to this church until they seen someone downgrading the church. Boo, they're not downgrading the church, they're downgrading you. Now, I love my church, my church. And if something like that was going on at my church, I would still ask someone, would you come to my church? I would still do that. And I would just ask the Lord to bless them to where, He would give them the things and the tools that they needed to get past whatever mischief, foolery, tomfoolery, buffoonery that's going on, and let them be able, to get the milk, the desired milk of the word, and the meat of the word. The reason I'm speaking on this is because, there's so much stuff going on in the world, and only people that read their Bibles, that really get a spiritual discernment for what's going on in this world. And before I go any further, I will say I believe these storms are man-made. The New World Order can do. They want to be gods. They use weather and things of that nature to make people feel like, oh, this is God. Now, what I will say is, I believe that God is in control, but is this God doing this? Now, I will say that. Is this God truly doing this? Because there's people that want to make the masses scared. There's, I've talked about this before, a depopulation program that is in effect. There's Walmarts that's closing down, and they're using these Walmarts for, they say FEMA, but they're concentration camps because these people have no place to go, and there's a lot of people that don't have ID. So they're going to round these people up because they want to know who they are, where they are, do they have family, what's going on. I heard, I can't remember, it was a wrestler, and I cannot remember who it was. His name is on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember who it was. And he did a report some years back, about 5 or 6 years back, on Walmart. They had these little miniature caskets and whatnot, and they had them inside these Walmart slash FEMA camps. And you know, uh, we need to stop uh, sitting up supporting these people that's not meaning us any good. And we do it all the time. We do it in our church when it comes to pastors that's not good for our church. We do it when it comes to governors that's not good for our state, with mayors that's not good for our cities. Then we want to sit back and twiddle our thumbs and wonder, how did I get in this situation? Because you're not paying attention, you're not studying God's word, you're not studying to find out about the people that you deal with. And the bad thing about it is, for us, for our black people, there's people of our color, and I've said this before, just because a person is your color don't mean they're for you. That works for someone who works for someone that don't want you on this earth. Please believe there are serious um, greedy people that's out here that feels like the oxygen is theirs, the water is theirs, The earth belongs to them and no one else. This earth is overpopulated. They feel as though we're taking from them and their children. And I'm letting you know this is not a race war anymore, people. This is a war between the people who want to kill us and us wanting to be alive. You're going to wake up one day because Trump just passed a bill to where police officers, if I'm not sure, they're getting ready to give them military status, and they can run right up in your house without knowledge, without your, they can run right up in your house and without a search warrant and do whatever they want nowadays. We're not paying attention to how they're doing this overlay with the underplays as far as the laws are concerned, and we think that we're living in this great this great United States when you already see that there's goons, buffoons, and court jesters kicking folks out when this is supposed to be the land of the free. Tired, he said, what he say? Give me your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free. These people are yearning to be free. DACA, all of these people came here with a dream. So now you're going to put a wall around the United States, which is a great way for China to just drop a bomb right on the X, right in the center of the X. And I mean, we're not paying attention to what's going on in this world, people, and we really do need to be paying attention to what's going on in this world. If you haven't got your firearms together, you don't have your survival techniques together, you're going to be one of the easy targets. If you don't know how to survive a Holocaust, if you don't know how to survive a military coming down on you as far as martial law, because if you look at Walmart, if you turn it around, it's basically like a martial law. These folks can give two shakes of a lamb's tail about what you got, who you know, whether your children eat. They're kicking all of these people out of the United States. One thing I will say, that there's a lot of people that come to this country, and I'm going to speak on the Arab community just for a minute, and no disrespect to the hard-working Arabs that come here and really want to work and make a life for themselves. And I can kind of understand why Trump is doing some of the things that he's doing, because you can agree and disagree, or you can hit on some facts that maybe someone you don't care for, but if fact is fact and right is right, then sometimes you just got to go along. But in the whole scheme of things, this man don't mean none of us no good. But there's Arabs here that come from their country, they have businesses, yet and still they go to the social services, Social Security. They lick up all of this money, and I believe these are the people that Trump are talking about. They are pulling all of the money and all these resources out of the treasury that hardworking people when they how can I say, when they retire from Social Security, the Social Security saying is running out, and there's people that may have worked all their life, they have children, and they may need FIA, but they can't get it because there's people from other countries that come here and just milk the system dry, I mean, generations at a time. Now, I don't know uh, how many of these people it is. I know that it can be all ethnic groups, but I'm just speaking on the people that I've actually heard, which is some of the Chaldean Arab nations. I've heard them speak on, they got food stamps or EBT cards in their wallets. They're in Target talking about they have to go to their husband's business and work and this, that, and the other. And why do you think these people speak in their language? Because they don't really want people to know what they're doing in this country to the real Americans. Now, like I said, I know there are hardworking Pakistanians, Chaldeans, Arab people, and if it don't apply to you, my brothers and sisters, then let it fly. But for the people that's doing this, don't get mad at people of color get mad at your own brothers and sisters because they're the ones that's having you guys deported, that's coming in here and sucking the nation dry. So don't look at nobody else but your own kind when you do that. It's the same thing with black folks. They got businesses. They don't. I know people that have businesses. They're black folks and they have businesses. Now I know a guy who has printing. He prints out. He draws murals on T-shirts and all types of stuff, and he's very good at what he does. And I wanted to get my husband one of those shirts. A shirt. I took a picture of my father-in-law and my husband, a picture of them two together to have that done. And when I first talked to him, he told me $40. Then when I got down there, he told me it was $40 per face on it. And I just said, forget it, I'll do it. Then I told him I'm going to need a receipt. Do you know that he told me, no, that's all right, I'm not going to do it. These are also the type of people that live off government funds because they're too scared to just stand out on their own skills. And not saying that their skills are not the bomb, because a lot of you have great skills, but you still steal from people that deserve it. Now I'm going back to the church and I'm going back to our leaders. That's why our leaders treat everybody the same. Because contrary to what a lot of people believe, one bad apple will spoil the whole bunch. I only got one thing I want to say to our leaders. You need to pray. You need to have a change of heart with the things that you're doing, especially these pastors, these preachers. They're not just for the congregation, they're for themselves. They'll tell you, they'll be in the congregation, they'll bring one of their buddies in to preach, then they'll say, well, we're going to give a love offering for the pastor, for this pastor, and I'm going to start off by giving $100. That wasn't your money, that was the congregation's money. So how are you giving anybody anything? I'm getting sick and tired. The tithes is going down. People are not paying tithes. So that means people not paying tithes. You're not getting the money you're supposed to get, so now you want to steal it? There's pastors out here that's like that, people. There's governors out here that's like that. I'm still praying for Flint. That's why I said I believe these things are man-made, because it's so many things going on in succession. They're not giving you time to grieve for one area of the country before another thing happens. And that's what they want. They want everybody to be confused. Come out your pockets. Give these people this. Give these people that. I got people emailing me and coming on and going on Facebook saying, do not give FEMA money, do not give the Red Cross money, do not give your pastors and governors and people of that caliber money. UNICEF, all of these people are getting, I think it's like for so much money you give, for every dollar, they get like 60% of the money, and the rest goes to whoever it's supposed to go to. But actually it doesn't, because down in Houston, they're saying that people are actually giving these folks clothes. They're donating all of these clothes to the Salvation Army, and on one block they're giving clothes to certain people, and then on other blocks they're charging people. The Salvation Army are charging people for donated items that the people in Houston should be getting. And I agree with a young man that came out and said, look, if you want to help the people in Dallas or in Houston or wherever the rain is, and the people are just they're not getting the help that they need, go to Lowe's, go to Home Depot. You celebrities, give that money to them people. Lowe's, Home Depot, all you people that own these places, match that money. Open your doors and let these people come in, get all the plywood, sheetrock, all the stuff that they need to rebuild their own home. Because FEMA's not going to help you. Now, from what I heard, FEMA is giving $2,000 for somebody to start their life over. How are you going to start your life over with $2,000? Please answer me that. I'm not understanding that. So, people, if you want to do something, first and foremost, pray for these people and cease not to pray for these people. And the second thing you can do is go online and find a family in Houston. They should have directories of families who's gone without in these shelters, and send it directly to a family that you want to have it. Because if you depend on FEMA, if you depend on the Red Cross and these people, what's going to end up happening is they're going to be riding around like the guy said in their little Bentleys and their little Cadillacs and their little whatevers. It's going to be used for their children's college funds, and the people that you're trying to help is still going to be in dire straits. So on that note, I love you guys. Quit putting all your trust in man. Quit thinking that just because it rained, God made it rain. Quit thinking that your government is for you. It's just hurting me that all of this all these terrible things are going on, and nobody can see it. So, guys, just love each other. Try to do the best you can for those around you. Try to help as many people as you can. And until next week, please stay strong.